Hello everyone, it's your lovely Lolo once again of Losa Collections and Apparel Fashion Academy, your queen of the darts. So today we'll be making a basic body. We'll be making a basic body. So now what we need to get these basic bodies, we'll be needing our shoulder measurements, okay, and our shoulder is divided by 2. Then we also need our bust measurements, our bust divided by 4, and we'll need our waist measurements divided by 4, and our hip plus 1 divided by 4. And these are the measurements we need. So for us to have our armhole measurements, what we'll do, we'll divide our bust by 6, okay, then plus 1.5 inches. So that's what we'll use to, so these are the measurements we need for our, then we also need our half length measurements for the back and front. Yes, I know some people will be thinking back and front they have different measurements. Yes, each areas, the back and the front, have different measurements. So these are the measurements we'll need so far for these basic bodies. So first of all, we'll be drafting our back pattern. So we'll be drafting our back first, okay. So after dividing my measurements for my bust measurements, I use my bust measurement to divide to know what I'll be using for my neckline and my neck width. I'll be using 3 by 1 inches for my back measurement. I'll be using 3 by 1 inches, okay. So, and I also impute my shoulder measurement. Remember your shoulder divided by 2, and that shoulder area I will come down by 1 inches for my shoulder slope. Now from that 1 inches, I'll measure my armhole measurements. What I have is 8 inches. So by the time you divide yours, you know what you have as your armhole measurement. It's very important you know all these measurements because it will help you to have your accurate measurements as your basic bodies will be perfect, okay. So now at this point I will impute my shoulder measurement because I want my lines real straight, okay. I will impute my shoulder measurement. So this is what I will do. I'll connect this way. So this is my measurements. Sorry, this pen I'm doing funny things. So these are my measurements. So now I want to connect my shoulder slope this way. I did a video of how important our curve ruler is. From this video you can see the importance of our curve ruler. There is no way you use your hands to curve, to draw these lines and they will be perfect. There is no way, it's not possible you draw these lines and your lines will be perfect. So this is the line I'm using. So now the next step is for me to impute my bust measurement divided by 4, okay. Now from my main shoulder measurement, I'll be coming down by my half length for my back, So what I have, whatever you have, just impute it there. I'm imputing my, so whatever you have for your back half length, you just impute it there. And from there I'll measure what I have from my waist to my hip line. From my waist to my hip line, this is what I have. From my waist to my hip line, this is what I have. So I'm going to rule those lines straight. Okay, I'm going to rule those lines together or connect them together. So these are my lines. Knowing these bodies is very important. So after adding my 1 inch to my hip measurement divided by 4, this is what I have. Sorry, I've entered our line, our measurement, but we'll still work with it this way. So this is what I have here. As you can see, this is the measurements. So this is what we have. So the next step is to get my midpoint for my armhole, because I'll be going in by 0.5 inches. Is very, very, very important. So I'll go in by 0.5 inches and I'll connect. I'll use my ruler to connect. Using your curve ruler is very, very important. Don't allow anybody deceive you that without this ruler you can do whatever you want. No, you get a perfect curve while using this ruler. I did a video on my Facebook page, Losa Collections and Apparel, how important these rulers are. So now this is what I have. With your hands, tell me, can you do this with your hands? It's not possible. So I'll be imputing my waist measurements here. By the time I impute it, I will now check how many inches is left here. So what I have here is 2 inches. So I'm going to distribute that 2 inches at my side seam, my back to avoid gaping or zipper bulge, and also my dart measurement. So first of all, I will mark my dart measurement. Remember your bust, divide your bust measurements. That is what your bust span measurement, that is what you use. So these are my measurements. So I'll connect to meet like this, because these are my lines. These are my lines. Okay, so this is what I have at this point. So remember, we'll come down from this chest line by 1 inch. So this is my chest line. Let me label it. Then this is my waist line. Okay, waistline, and my hip line. Sorry about that. So now at my hip line, I'll be coming up by 2 inches. I'll be coming up by 2 inches this way, and I'll come up this way, because I want my bodies to have a clean, perfect fit on my client's body. So I'll draw that line. So this one is my upper hip. So remember, we have 2 inches left. At my chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch. So this is my 1 inch. So now what I will do next is to distribute the 2 inches I have left here. So I'm going to take here, I'm going to use 1 inch or 0.75, depends on how you want to distribute it. Okay, so if I'm using 0.75 here and I'm using ½ inch here, I will also be left with 0.75. So I'm going to distribute that 0.75 on this my darts line, on my darts line. So I'm going to distribute it here. So this is what I have. So I'm going to connect this dart to my 2 inches I came up with, and I'll connect like this. Believe me, if you understand your basic bodies, you will do greater things. But that does not stop you from doing upgrade, please. That does not stop you from doing upgrade. Upgrade is a must, please. It's very important you do upgrade. That is what will help you get there. So now I'll connect this my line this way. I'll connect this line this way. So this is what we have. Okay, so I can connect like this, and I can also use this straight part of this ruler to connect my line. Okay, so this is what I have for my back pattern. Now my zipper, to avoid that bulge, I'm going to connect to meet that 2 inches. I don't want it to exceed that line. So this is what I have, and this is what I have. Yeah, please, if you follow this video to this point, just like and subscribe. So these parts will be going out, okay, and this is our dart line. These are dart line, and these parts will be going out because we want to avoid zipper bulge at our back area. So this is our back pattern. So this is the back bodice. So now we'll be drafting our front bodice. Okay, so I'll impute my measurements of my neckline of 3 by 3 inches. 3 by 3 inches. That's my measurement, 3 by 3 inches. Okay, and I will impute my shoulder measurements, and I'll connect this way. Now for your front shoulder slope, you come down by 1.5 inches. You come down by 1.5 inches. So now we want our back armhole and the front armhole to meet. We want it to meet. They must connect. That is the important thing. They must connect. So this is what I have. So, and this is my measurement for my armhole. I'll connect to give my chest line that point. So this is it, and I will impute my shoulder measurement because I want it to connect perfectly. Okay, so this is what I have here. So now at this point, I'll go in with my measurements of my bust divided by 4, and this is what I have. So I will get my midpoint for this part. This is my midpoint, and I'll be coming in by 0.75. So I'll connect like this. I'll connect like this, and I'll connect to meet this line. So this is what I have. Now I want to impute other measurements. That is my bust measurements. I will impute my bust measurements. So whatever your bust measurements, that is from your shoulder to your nipple points, whatever it is, just impute it. And I will also impute my half length for the front. Remember I said my back half length is different from my front half length. So I will impute my measurements for my half length. So from that point, I will impute my measurements for my waist to my hip line. Sorry, I know this thing will enter our measurement, but we just have to manage it. Okay, Just follow this, please. Just pay attention to this area. So now what's next is for me to impute my measurements for my hip. Remember we did some calculation there. So I'll connect my measurement this way, just as I did at the back parts. That is what I will do at the front. So I will also measure, rule a straight line, a straight line to connect my waist measurement. So this is my hip line and my waistline and my chest line, and this is my bust line, my bust line. Okay, so here is our yoke. We call this part our yoke. This part is our yoke. You can see that mine connects with each other. You see, it connects. It must connect. If you are drafting and this line did not connect, know that there is a problem. Okay, so this is our yoke for the back and the front. So just as we did at the back, that is what we'll do at the front. So I'll check my measurements, and what I have here is 2 inches. So what I want to do is I want to impute my measurement. So I'm using, I want to divide my measurement now. I will divide whatever I have and use it also for my darts measurement. So my darts, I will first of all impute my bust span measurement. Remember, we'll also come up for the front part by 2 inches. By 2 inches. So I will connect the line this way. So this one now is my upper hip line. So now I will just mark a straight line to connect all that together. I want to connect all that together. Connect all that together. So at this point, I will come down by 1 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch, and I'll go out by 1 inch also. Now going out from this point by 1 inch, you see why I did that. So first of all, let me connect my hip measurements this way. Connect my hip measurements, my hip to my waist. This is what I have, and I will also connect my waist to my bust line. So this is what I have. This part will be going out. This gives a perfect fit if your measurement is correct. Okay, so now I'll be using the remaining parts of my measurement to create my darts. Okay, I'll be using the remaining parts to create my darts. So this is what I have for my remaining parts, and I'll connect this way. So for the measurements I'm using, the difference for the back and the front is 2 inches. So when you measure your clients or you take your measurement, whatever your difference is, that is what you'll be using to work. Okay, so mine is 2 inches. Okay, mine is 2 inches. So I'll be using that 2 inches for my difference. So from my bust line, I will come down by 2 inches, by that 2 inches. So if yours is 3 inches, you come down from your bust line by 3 inches. So this is what we have. I know you'll be thinking, so now how will all these lines connect since one is longer than the other one? I will show you how it will connect, because we are going to close our dart first. By closing our darts, we'll be able to connect. So how do we close our darts? This is what we do. So I'll just hold that point I mark and fold this way. Because I'll be using this pattern to show you so many things, I will not be cutting out this pattern. But by the time you follow what we are doing now, you will see that you have exactly what you wanted. So it's like I'll cut out the pattern so that you understand what we are doing here. So now I'm going to check my measurement like this, and I will use my tracing wheel to trace. I'll use my tracing wheel to trace this pattern. Okay, I'm going to trace like this. Do you know why I'm tracing? Because I want to get the actual point where my measurement will end. So you will see how we can get a complete side that are equal after drafting this pattern. Remember, the back is shorter than the front, so by the time we cut out, you will see how it's possible for us to have that. So we'll be cutting out this part, as in by closing it. So when we close it, it will be permanent. Okay, so now this is my front pattern. Okay, this is my front pattern for my bodice. So now I want to cut out this pattern so that we'll see how this back and the front will be equal. I will not be cutting it all the way out, because we'll also use this pattern for other things. Please, if you have watched up to this time, just try and like this video. Okay, like, share, because that will encourage us to do more videos like this. We have so many videos, sewing tips that we need to upload, but when we are being encouraged, that will help us to do more. So now, remember, we said that we want us to see if it's possible for these two parts to be equal. It's very, very possible. So I'll be closing my darts. So this is my darts. Okay, so I'll be closing my darts this way. You need your paper tape for this. I'll be closing my darts. So now let's say this is our front part, because this is actually our front part, and I've cut it out. I'm cutting out the part that we don't need so that we'll see what we are doing properly. So you can see, are you seeing it? It's blending, right? It's equal now. You can even see that it have even formed our bust, our cup already. It's very, very beautiful. It's important you know all this. Your basic are very important. Knowing your basic will help you to do great designs that you never imagine you could do. So this is the back pattern for my front, and this is the back pattern. This is the front pattern for my basic bodice, and this is the back pattern for my basic bodice. Please like, share our video, follow us for more tips, okay? From your Darts Queen, Losa. Bye bye.